Hello students, this is Mr. Fox, and today we're going to learn about the sum and difference of cubes. Now, like you saw on Friday, we actually have two formulas, one for the sum of cubes and one for the difference of cubes. So go ahead and pull your journal out and be looking at those formulas. Alright, so this problem here is a difference of cubes, and we know that it's a difference because we have the negative, and because we have a cube here. So we think it's potentially going to be a difference of cubes. So the first question is, can I find a cube of each of these numbers? So let's check. So 64, we're going to factor that out, and 64 will factor into 8 and 8, and those will factor down into 2 and 4, and down into 2 and 4. And at this point, I noticed something interesting. So I have a 4, and I have a 4, but I also have a 2 and a 2. So if I multiply the 2's together, I get 4. So 2 times 2 is 4. Therefore, I can say that the three factors of 64 are going to be 4 times 4 times 4. Now what that means is that the cube root is 4, because we have three numbers that multiply together to give me 64. So I know that the cube root of 64 is 4, and then I can do the same thing with 125. And 125 clearly becomes, if we factor this into 25 and 5, and then this will become 5 and 5. So again, we have three numbers, or one number that multiplies by itself 3 times to give me 125. So I know that every number in here is a perfect cube because I was able to find its factors. So if we go to our formula for the difference of cubes, we see that a cubed minus b cubed is equal to a minus b, and in this case, we'll say that a is equal to 5 times x, and our b is 4. So we've got 5 times x minus 4 from our formula times a squared, so that's going to be 25x squared, plus a times b, so that's going to be 5x times 4, so 20x, plus b squared, which is 16. And so our final answer will be 5x minus 4 times 25x squared plus 20x plus 16. We can also do the same thing for the sum of a cube. So I know that it's the sum of a cube if I see a plus. So we can reference back to our formula chart of our sum and difference of cubes, and we see that a cubed plus b cubed is equal to a plus b times a squared minus ab plus b squared. So first let's identify a and b. This is a cubed. This is b cubed. So if I want to find b, I need to take the cube root of b. So 125, like we discovered a second ago, is 5 times 5 times 5. So b is 5. Now we have 216, and I know that this is a cube here because I've got this handy-dandy little 3 right here. So 216, let's see what we can break this down into. Well, there's a whole bunch of different ways that I could do it, but what if I break it down into 36 times 6? All right, and then 36 can then be broken down into 6 times 6. Now, I've kind of cheated here because I already knew what I was looking for before I went and looked for 216. So some methods that we might use here is to factor it completely and then put all the factors back together. So let's see what this would look like if I was approaching it from a layman's perspective. So let's do 216 and first off, I'm going to factor out a 2 because that's the easiest thing for me to do. So that leaves me with 2, and then I have 108. And then 108, well, I remember that 108 is just 12 times 9. And the reason I remember that is because in a previous example that we did, I remember multiplying 9 and 12 to make 108. So then 9 can be factored into 3 and 3, and 12 can be factored into 4 and 3, and then 4 can be factored into 2 and 2. Now, I have an even number of 3's and an even number of 2's. I'm sorry, I have 3 3's and 3 2's, and my goal is to get 3 separate terms, just like we had up here. So if I pair a 2 and a 3 for each term, then I get 2 times 3, and I see that all the factors are accounted for, and I can say 6 times 6 times 6. So that's just one method that you could go about trying to find the cube root. All right, so we come to our formula, and our formula states that a cubed plus b cubed is a plus b. So a I found to be 6x plus b I found to be 5 multiplied by a squared, so that'll be 36x squared, minus a times b, so that'll be 30x, plus b squared, and b squared is 25. So that'll be our final answer. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.